guys. It's been quite a week this week. I spent Monday night in hospital and I've had my dose of morphine upped. So I'm actually feeling a bit better and the pain is much improved. But the problems about me getting out of bed into my wheelchair are sort of remaining at the moment. Excuse the bear, I'm just resting my head on him because he's very comfortable and soft and he's been with me through a lot of things, so I like to have him hanging around. You might have seen him at the end of some of my videos. His name is Tolly and he goes to on lots of travels with me just as a sort of a reminder of home, really. So I usually have him and another bear called Audrey, who come with me when I have adventures and things. So I've been trying to work out what to do for this week's video because it's been very sort of a boring week, really, of a lot of sleep and a lot of medication-induced stupor. So I thought I'd do an audio book review, since that's all I've been really capable of doing for most of the week, is listening to audio books and a few textbooks with my text reader. But the audio books are more of a wider interest to a lot of people. So I thought I would do a quick review of a recent book I read on chronic illness called The Girl Behind the Dark Glasses by Jessica Taylor Bowman. And I will link to the audiobook, and it's also available on Kindle, I think, and also in paperback. But I will give you a sort of an overview of the book and tell you what I thought about it. So I shall see you in a bit. When the book A Girl Behind Dark Glasses opens, Jessica is just like your average normal 14-year-old girl, heading into year 10 and hoping to do well in GCSEs. And just after her 15th birthday, she caught what seemed like a flu bug, and she never got entirely better from it, and was then diagnosed with post-viral fatigue, or something which you or some of the people may know as myalgic encephalomyelitis or chronic fatigue syndrome. It's been given those various labels over the years. Jessica was one of the most severely affected cases. She was or became increasingly ill and ended up being confined to bed, and she was hospitalised for several years altogether in different places. She was first she first had a lot of time off school, and then she was about to start a hospital type school when she became even more ill and had to go into hospital. She started off on a general children's ward, and she talks about her experience of almost being sort of trapped in her own body. She was like she had to fight her way to the surface of her own body, and she's obviously a very intelligent young girl, and she's very eloquent in the way that she puts things across. Before all this illness starts, she's kept her own diary, so she's very used to writing it down. And when she was hospitalised, she hadn't got the strength to swallow, or many people couldn't understand what she said, and people were wondering if she was suffering a severe sort of depressive episode. And and only her parents, her mum and dad, could understand what she was saying. And she decided to try and write about what was going on and how she felt in her diary, but she had to use a system that she calls coding, where her mum and dad would work out the words she was trying to say and interpret them and write them down. And this was shown to the doctors at the in the general children's ward, and it was agreed, because she was getting worse and worse, she was needing to be tube fed and things, that she needed to be moved to a specialist hospital, which she calls in the book the Promised Land. Unfortunately, this isn't as good as you would or may expect. She seems to be less understood at the specialist hospital than she has been even in the general children's ward. So she gets worse and worse and encounters problems with staff, and she's there for a long time with virtually no progress, and then fights to be sent to another hospital, and she feels very bleak at times, but she tries to hang on to her own sense of self by planning what she will write about the experiences in her head. It was a brilliant book to read, because having suffered lots of chronic illness in my life, and particularly I was interested in it because I had a severe depressive episode some years ago, and I could just, it wasn't like it was the most physically debilitating experience I had ever had, or up until this last point that I am at now, because I could just lie in bed for hours, and I hadn't got the strength to speak to anybody. I could just lie, and the time would just have disappeared. I never quite knew what it was. Well, but I had the sensation of having to fight to the surface of my own body, and it used to seem to take forever. So I was interested in it from that point of view. And people also don't realise, obviously I don't have chronic fatigue syndrome or ME, but I do have chronic fatigue as a symptom of ageing with cerebral palsy. So I am getting to understand that experience very well, and I'm definitely not as sort of agile and fit as I was even 5 years ago, and I do get tired extremely easily, even though I try and be as active as I can. If I go on sort of adventures, I'm needing more and more help to be able to do the things I used to do, and I always have to build in rest times now so that I can cope with the actual journeys of things. So it was, a lot of the book resonated for me, and also because it talks about special needs environments a lot. So, and it was an absolutely brilliant read. It very sad in parts, because there was no quick fix, solution or cure, but Jessica goes on to live a fulfilling life, even though she spends a lot of time in just one room. She's since been able to get married, and she has as happy a life as she can. She still experiences debility, but she is like a lot away, like a world away from where she was. But and it also, the book goes into how different the lives with people with disabilities and chronic illnesses can be from their contemporaries, particularly if in her case she didn't know anyone else with the same condition as she had, and she was very young and in school, and like life moves so quickly at that age, and when you have a disability a lot of times life doesn't move so quickly and it's not so easily engaged with. So I would highly recommend reading this book. I'll put a link to the description. I'll put a link in the description, to both the paperback Kindles and audio book versions, and I hope you enjoy the read and get something out of it. And I would also highly recommend talking books for anybody who is in the position that I am. They've been very useful to take to doctor's appointments. Whenever I am in hospital, I keep a iPod in my hospital suitcase with a charger, and I always keep books loaded on that, so they're a good sort of distraction. And particularly if you end up on a ward with a lot of beeping monitors, or sometimes you get elderly people shouting and you just want to drown it out because it's not really their fault if they have dementia or other illnesses. So I've always found iPods very useful in terms of being able to play audiobooks directly into my ears, and you can sort of float off into your own world. So now I'm planning to be able to do one of these type book videos every week, hopefully. They might have a chronic illness theme, they might have another type of theme, but if you'd like to see more of the videos or you have any book suggestions, please feel free to get in contact. Leave me a comment on the bottom of this video, and if you want to see more of my videos, please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll make them for you. As ever, thank you for watching even, and I'll see you next week. Bye.